Okay, the condition of unwavering condition, number 1. Number 2, condition of impermanence. Number 3, condition of potentiality / concomitancy. Right? Okay, I'll explain each one of them. First, when the Buddha said, because this exists, that exists. When the Buddha said this, the Buddha is indicating the first condition of the unwavering condition. Unwavering condition means all composite things must come into being by dependence on a cause. It cannot arise randomly. Composite phenomena cannot arise randomly. It must come into being by the power of a cause. It should unwaveringly arise, unwavering. Unwavering here refers to yes.
Unwavering that you cannot have it other way, right?
Yes, which means that
זה חייב להיות ככה. זה לא יכול להיות בצורה אחרת.
yes, which means
הפירוש
that
המילולי זה ללא נהיה, הוא לא נע, הוא לא זז, ללא
הוא
נהיה.
לא גל, הוא לא גל.
זה לא עניין של גל, זה מילה אחרת, אבל זה ללא נהיה, זה הפירוש המילולי, והוא מסביר מה המשמעות.
okay, so the first one says that all composite things must unwaveringly come into being by dependence on the causes. Causelessly, no composite phenomena can arise. This is what the Buddha said, number 1. Number 2, because this is produced, that is produced. Meaning, the condition of impermanence. Not only the issue of the cause must be impermanent in nature. The cause cannot be permanent. Cause must be impermanent. Right? Because this is produced. Produced means something which was non-existent before, it came to being, is impermanent. Because the cause should be impermanent, then only the result can come into being. So, number 1 said there should be cause. Number 2 said, not only cause, it should be impermanent cause. Number 3, because of the ignorance, contaminated karmas arise, because of which consciousness arises, because of which name and form arise, because of which contact arise, the sources arise, because of which the contact arise. There's 12 links of different, don't worry about this part. There are 12 sections. Okay, so this is indicating, this is what the Buddha is indicating, third condition of the potentiality. Say if you want mangoes, if you want to enjoy mangoes, you plant apple seed, don't expect mango to grow, right? Apple seed does not have the potential to give rise to mango. If you want mango, you must plant a seed which has the potentiality to give rise to mango. What is that seed? Mango seed, not the apple seed. So therefore, it says, with ignorance, don't expect uncontaminated karmas arising. Only contaminated karmas will arise. With ignorance, only miseries will arise, not the genuine happiness. Okay, so because of ignorance, contaminated karmas arise, so 12 links are indicated. So this is the suffering. Because of ignorance, whole the chain of suffering arises. This is the third condition of potentiality. You getting it? Potentiality, concomitancy. Concomitancy means the cause and effect must be similar. The cause, apple seed, and the result, mango growing. This is not true. Cause and effect, these two are not similar in nature. Okay, so and then the Buddha said, because if you don't want miseries, then what should we do? We should stop the ignorance. Because ignorance ceases, contaminated karmas cease. Because of which the consciousness ceases, because of which the name and form ceases, because of which the sources, the 6 sources cease, because of which contact cease, because of which the feeling cease, because of which the attachment ceases, because of which the grasping ceases, because of which the becoming ceases, because of which the birth ceases, because of which the aging and death ceases. So the 12 links. Okay. So what the Buddha is indicating that all our miseries somehow they must become into being by cause. Not that you are unfortunate, you have it. No. Because we have done these causes before. causes. And the causes are not just causes, they're impermanent, the causes, which we did, not that somebody's already dictated before. It's something which we did. We did, which has the potential to give rise to miseries now. Because with these three things intact with the cause, invariably we will go through miseries. If these causes are the causes of the happiness, we will invariably experience the happiness. Okay. So whereas if you don't want miseries, then we have to get into the causes. Ye dharma hetu prabhava. All the phenomena arise from the causes. Okay. So this is what we need to keep in mind. With this, the point is, from this, what message do you get from what you learned thus far today, this morning, today? From this, we come to learn that the suffering that I have is because of a cause, and that cause is an impermanent cause, and that cause is not a positive cause because it's suffering. The cause must be negative. What is that cause? Ignorance. Right? So, and because I don't want suffering, what should I do now? I should stop the cause. What cause? Self-grasping ignorance. Right? How to stop the self-grasping ignorance? Okay, the more we study like this, the more we will feel aversion towards the self-grasping ignorance. The more we feel aversion towards self-grasping ignorance, the more we want to get rid of self-grasping ignorance. The more we want to get rid of self-grasping ignorance, more we will cherish the wisdom of emptiness. You getting it? So this is how we can expect to follow the path. Gade gade para gade para samade buri. This is so precious. Okay. So as a part of eradicating the self-grasping ignorance by introducing wisdom of emptiness, as a part of introducing wisdom of emptiness, we will study what is known as the concept of entities and isolates, then positive and negative phenomena, then the two truths. Okay, let's say entities, this is so important, and don't take it for granted. In fact, what I can boldly share with you, audaciously share with you, is that this concept of entities and isolates in this world, how many people really know this concept? Is so less. Only in the monastic universities they study this concept. Otherwise, it's so less. No way studied. Because of which, if you don't know this concept, you will end up in many confusions. Yes.
Can we just stop to clarify the words? When you say entity, do you mean the essence?
Okay. So don't worry, we'll start. Okay, we'll start.
As well the isolate word.
The isolate also.
Don't worry. Okay. First, I'll explain this. Don't worry. I promise. First, I'll explain this, and in the process, if you get stuck, right, you ask me. I promise I'll not evade. I'll not run away. Right? I promise that you will understand. It's not difficult. It's easy. Okay. First, let's say. Okay, let's say what is in my hand? Nothing in the air? Okay, what is in my hand now? Flower. How many things are there in my hand? One, right? Okay, you said one. Okay, one. What is that thing in my hand? What is that one thing? Flower. Okay. Is the color of the flower in my hand? Hey, the color of the flower, is it in my hand or outside my hand?
Yes.
It's in my hand. Color of the flower, is it the flower?
Flower.
Color of the flower, is it the flower?
No.
It's not a flower. Is it different from the flower?
No.
It's not different. Huh?
It's in the flower.
It's in the flower, no doubt. It's in the flower. But is it the flower? Is it the flower?
No.
It's not a flower. It's not the flower means there is something which is not the flower.
Yes.
So flower is in my hand. Also there's something which is not the flower.
No.
So there are two things.
Yes.
Huh? No. So what is that one thing? Flower or the color of the flower? Which is in my hand?
They are both in the same.
Both. Both means two. Right? Both means two. Okay, now tell me how many things are there? Both.
They are one, but not the same.
Okay, so both are there, right? Both are there. There are two things. Okay, if you say two, there's a problem, right? I give you 1 shekel and say 2. 2 shekels is a problem. If you say 1, there's a problem. You cannot reject this reality that I also have the color, not on the flower. Okay, how can you resolve this problem? This problem cannot be resolved unless and until you understand the concept of entities and isolates. You getting it? Okay.
Yeah.
With this, how does this concept of entities and isolates solve this problem? Okay, what is entities? What is isolates? You getting it?
Yeah.
Okay. Now, say the flower and the color of the flower. Flower is the object or the subject?
Object.
Object. And your mind is subject of the object. Okay, don't forget it. Okay, when you look for the flower and the color of the flower to see whether these two are one or different, when you go towards the object, to look for whether these two things are one or different, go towards the object, you're looking for the entities. When you go towards the subject, towards your mind, you're looking for the isolates. You getting it? Still don't worry. What exactly is isolate? What exactly is entities? Don't worry. Right? It'll become clearer. Okay. Now, let's go to the object. Let's not go towards the subject. Let's go towards the object. When you go towards the object, you're looking for entities or isolates? Hey, entities. Okay. Now let's say, tell me whether I'm correct or not. You ask me where's the flower? I say this is a flower. Correct, not correct?
Yes.
Did I go towards the object or subject?
Object.
Object. Okay, you're looking for the entities. Now you ask me where's the color of the flower? Not the flower. Where's the color of the flower? I said it's here. Correct, not correct?
Correct.
Okay. So when I go towards the object, I can point to the same object for the reference of the two labels. Color of the flower and the flower. For the two reference, for the reference of the two labels, I can point to the same object. So this is known as entity-wise towards the object, entity-wise meaning from the object. From the object, entity-wise, the flower and the color of the flower, these two are same. So flower and the color of the flower, these two are entity-wise same. Because when you go towards the object, you can point to the same object for the reference of the two labels. What's the flower? This is a flower. Where's the color of the flower? Is here. So we can point to the same object for the reference of the two labels. That is the indication that these two are entity-wise one. Entity meaning from the object, from the substance. Entity means from the substance. Okay. Now, number 2 is, okay, isolate. Okay, number 2 is, we are looking for the isolates. Now, entity-wise, we have already understood it. Isolates. Isolate means we have to go towards the subject. Okay, so to look for the flower and the color of the flower, whether these two are one or different, when you go towards the subject. How do we go towards the subject for the flower and the color of the flower, right? Okay, to make it easier, let me give the example of the table. Like the color of the flower and the color of the flower, table and the top line of the table. Right? These two are same. So let's say table and top line of the table. Okay, now let us not go towards the object, let's go towards the subject. Okay, for the subject you have to think. Close eyes, and think of the table. Think of the table in your subject, in your mind. Now, close your eyes and think of the top plank of the table. Think of the top plank of the table. Okay. Now open your eyes and tell me, is there a difference?
Yes.
What difference is there?
This is the
Two
top.
parts.
Huh?
Two parts. Different parts.
No.
No, this is
What is the table? Table is not a part.
Hey.
I asked you to think of the table, one. Then I asked you to think of the top plank of the table. What's the difference in your mind? In your mind, how these two appears different in your mind?
This one is imaginary. The what I think about
Table
is not
has
the
the
table.
box, has the legs.
The table is the top plank plus the legs.
This is
Top
what-
plank
It's
is
a part of the table.
top plank is just a part
Part.
without
One
the legs. Top plank is just a part without the legs. So that in your mind, these two appears different. One as a whole and the other as parts. Table as a whole and the other, the top plank and the legs as the parts. So these two appear as different in your mind. One mind is subject to object.
Subject.
Huh?
Subject.
Subject. So in your subject, these two appear as different. On the object, when you go to this object, same. Whereas the table is here, correct, not correct? Whereas the table is here, correct, not correct? It's
Yes.
correct. Whereas the top line of the table is here, correct, not correct?
Yes.
Correct. So when you go to the object, I can point to the same object to look for the two things, table and top of the table. In my mind, these two appears different. One is whole, one is parts. You getting it? So these two are separated. These two are isolated. Isolates, meaning these two are isolated. These two are separated by mind or by the object? By the mind. So the separation, isolation, right? These two are different isolates on the basis of your mind, not on the basis of the object. You getting it? So therefore tell me, the flower and the color of the flower, isolate wise one or different? Huh?
The color.
Different. Color of the flower and the flower. These are isolated wise one or different? Isolated wise one or different? Different. Entity wise one or different? Same or one? How these two are same? Entity wise? Because we can point to the same object for the reference of the two labels, the flower and the color of the flower. So isolated wise one or different? Color of the flower and the flower. Isolated wise one or different?
Different.
Different. How?
Entity.
Because in your mind, the flower and the color of the flower appears different. Flower as the whole and the color of the flower as a part. You're getting it? So therefore in your mind these two appears different. Whereas in the object there's no difference. So we say entity wise same, isolated wise different. Okay, we have to do a little bit of exercise with this. We have to do more exercise. The more we do the exercise, it will become clearer to mind, we will become more familiar. Okay, my question to you. Can you give me an example of two things which are entity-wise different as well as okay, first let me give let you give me an example of the say two things which are entity-wise different. Give me an example
The
of
flower and the clock.
the flower and
The
the
clock.
clock. The flower is here, the clock is here. I have to point to two different objects. Therefore, these two are entity-wise different. Okay, now can you give me an example of entity-wise one? Flower is fine, and the flower and the color of the flower. The
The microphone.
huh?
The microphone.
The microphone is fine. The microphone and the color of the microphone. These two are entity-wise one.
The top of the microphone and the leg of the microphone.
Okay,
What about this?
okay. Say top.
No, the thing that
Yes,
you
this
talk
is-
to and this hand.
The
How do you call it?
hand.
Yeah. Is that
So these two are entity-wise one or different?
It's not a microphone. It's a
One.
stand.
No.
Why?
The question is this part,
One.
this part, and this part. These two are entity-wise one or different?
different?
Why?
Different. You can
Why?
point to different things.
You have to point to two different objects. Whereas the handle of the microphone is here, whereas the microphone is here. You have to point to two different objects.
They are parts.
But maybe
No,
it's only
it's
a
not.
microphone, the whole thing.
בחלקים.
Okay. Okay, let's say the microphone, very precisely this part of the microphone. This part of the microphone and the handle of the microphone, right? These two are entity-wise different. And then if you see that this whole thing is a microphone and the handle, right? For example, the mug and the handle of the mug. So this handle is a part of this mug.
But put the top on.
Sorry?
Put the top on.
נכון.
This one.
He's not talking about the top,
Now
about
I'm
the handle.
asking you, is this what you are holding in your hand? Is it entity-wise one or different?
This one.
This whole thing that you
The whole thing.
Yes.
Whole thing and
Entity
Is
wise.
it in your mind? Is it in your hand?
the whole thing. This is entity as one.
One.
Of course, whole thing. We are talking about two things. The whole thing and the handle. Whole thing on the one hand and the handle on the other hand, are these two entities was one or different? So the Tamar is saying that these two entities was one.
Yes.
I agree with her.
What about the lid?
Now the point is the lid
Also
and the handle, these two entities was one or different.
one.
Different.
If it
Might as well if you decide. If you see everything.
No,
as a-
listen.
No, it's
The lid.
Is one.
I'm not talking about the everything. I'm talking the lid.
So if you,
You can
put it
separate
away,
it.
it's two, and if it's stuck together, it's
It's
not.
some complete.
Listen. The lid and the handle, these two are very different. You can never point to the
And
lid.
put them
The put together, you're not. This is not the lid. Put together is a mug. Put your body put together is not your hand. Your hand is a part of it, right? Likewise, the lid.
נכון?
This is one object with the
Yes, we can think of this. Look, we can think of everything as one unit.
Yes.
We can think of everything as one unit, including the lid, including the handle, including this one unit. This unit is the whole. With respect to this, the handle is the part.
And the cup also.
Lid also the part.
So then it's one entity.
Lid and the whole is one entity. Is one entity. Lid means just this,
Yeah.
not the whole.
It's a part of.
Part of the whole. So this lid and the handle, these two are lid and the handle. These two entities was one or different. Entity was very different. The lid and the overall mug, whole, everything together, and the lid, entity was one different.
Again.
Everything together, the lid, the handle, the mug, everything put together as one unit, and the lid,
One.
entity was one different. One. Very good. Okay. Now
Time is one entity,
tummy is one entity. Yes. Tummy is one entity.
but
Tummy and tummies say the hands. Tummy on the one hand and tummy's hand on the other hand. These two entities was one or different. Entity was one. You getting it? Okay. Tummy and tummy's hands isolate wise one or different.
One.
different.
Isolate wise
Different.
different. Very good. How? In your mind, tummy is seen as the whole and hands are seen as the parts. So these two are isolated wise different, entity wise one. You getting it? Very good. Okay.
So it's
Now,
object and subject.
sorry.
Object and subject.
Okay. So object. When you go to the object, you're looking for the entities. You go to the subject, you're looking for the isolates. Very good. Okay. Now we'll do a quick exercise. We're going to do a quick exercise. Okay. So isolates, particularly isolates part, isolates what? Towards the subject. Let's go to the subject to explore. Okay. Okay, let's say, let us think of the flower. Think of flower? Think of the flower. Okay, now we think of the method.
Metal.
Think of method. Okay, Mary, just think. Think, don't ask me anything. Think of method. Think of method.
Yeah.
Okay, method means flower.
Flower בטיבט.
Okay, method means flower. Now think. Okay, think of flower. Okay, think of flower. Think of method.
The flower, the lily.
Ah,
Okay.
how you say?
Okay. Ari, think of flower. Think of flower. Think. Think of the flower.
Ah,
Yes. Okay. Ari, now think of metal. Metal. Okay, tell me. The flower metal, in your mind, these two appear different or same? Huh?
Different.
Different.
You don't know what
Metal and flower.
No, if you don't know.
If we don't know,
If we don't know the
We don't know what
No. For those who know this, who know the word, same or different?
same.
Huh?
Don't know the word.
No, you know the word now.
Same.
Same. Good. Okay. So metal and flower, although the labels are different, but in your mind, these two just appear same. This is isolated-wise one.
ah.
You getting it? Okay. Now, okay.
Yeah, it's one.
Hebrew is perach.
In Hebrew,
Perach.
perag.
Yes.
Perag is?
Flower.
Okay, perag, flower. Thank
Think
you.
of flower, think of perach.
Okay, think of perag and think of flower. Very good. Thank you.
for the next week.
For the other people. For the people elsewhere, outside
Next
Israel.
year. Yeah.
Next year. Okay, good. Now, we will... yes, okay. The same, the noun, is your responsibility to remind me. First we will do the positive negative phenomena. After this, then you remind me, right? I think we can either do this afternoon, very likely this afternoon. Okay. Okay, first let us do the positive and positive negative, followed by the two truths. And then the easiest question will come into being. Okay. Next one is negative and positive phenomena. This is extremely important part. Negative and positive phenomena. Okay. What is in my hand? Okay. The flower vase. What is the flower? And how do you know that I have a flower in my hand? I can see it. I can see it, right? Okay. Now what is my right hand? Nothing is there. Absence of the flowers there? How do you know the absence of flowers in my hand? Oh, you can see the absence of flower.
No.
Okay. So how you see the absence of flower and how you see the flower is very different. Flower, there's something there which tells you that I'm the flower. Whereas the absence of flower, there's nothing there to tell you that I'm the absence of flower. There's nothing there as a substance. So, how do you know that the absence of flower? It is by negating the flower. With the flower, you don't have to negate anything. With the absence of flower, you have to negate. So what you know by explicitly negating something is known as negative phenomena. Okay, let me say this again. Negative phenomena. A phenomena which a mind cognizes or which a mind knows. Or negative phenomena. I'm talking about negative phenomena. A phenomena which a mind knows through explicitly negating the object of negation. A negative phenomena is a phenomena which a mind knows through explicitly negating the object of negation. Explicitly negating the object of negation. A negative phenomena is a phenomena which a mind knows through explicitly negating the object of negation. Okay. Now once you know negative phenomena, the positive phenomena becomes easy. A positive phenomenon is a phenomenon which a mind knows through not explicitly negating the object of negation. A positive phenomena is a phenomenon which a mind knows through not explicitly negating the object of negation. Positive phenomena is a phenomena